Hey y'all, happy Thursday, Friday Eve, but it also turned out to be the eve of a winter storm. I'm here with meteorologist Sawyer McElroy. Sawyer, thanks for joining me on Facebook Live, on TikTok Live, on the First Alert 7 streaming services.
Yeah, of course, Matthew. We do have this big storm on the way, and it is, kind of at the forefront of everybody's minds. I know it is, of course, on the forefront of my mind, mostly because I'm a meteorologist. But
Right.
of course, I have been seeing, the comments, the posts of people, nervous about this storm. So hopefully we can kind of do this Q&A and help to put people's minds at ease.
So, and that's your cue right there. So please, you can go to firstalert7.com/vote. There's going to be questions there you can answer, what you're most worried about. Are your travel plans disrupted? So please answer that. TikTok, we're watching your comments too, and we're on Facebook Live as well. Good morning to you, by the way, if you're commenting on Facebook Live as well. So glad to have you all with us here this morning, answering all of your winter storm questions, because we're expecting it's going to be quite a doozy of a storm, no less. I've seen so many social media posts over the past almost 2 weeks.
I would say at least a week and a half.
A week and a half or so of some outrageous snow total numbers, ice numbers, stuff that we can't nail down. Even today, it's tough to nail that stuff down. 24 hours out, even more than that, from the beginning of this winter storm to move on in. But that's why we wanted to come on today to kind of dispel some of those, but also look at actually how dangerous the storm is, because it's not something to, just brush off.
Of course, we hope for the best case scenario, but in this case, it's not looking great.
Sure.
Just from my professional opinion, and the other, meteorologists here at First Alert 7 are in agreement with that as well. So we just want to make sure people are prepared, but not panic.
Yeah, be prepared, don't be scared, that kind of thing. So someone commented on Facebook already, make sure everyone has everything charged up, they're staying warm, staying safe, and maybe we stay safe as well, especially if you lose electricity. That is the thing with ice. Power outages become widespread. We've seen it here in the past. We're possibly expecting that this weekend.
Yeah, we can, if we can pull up weather graphics, if that's in here for our director, thank you. We are kind of, let me just go over what we're looking at. So we are looking at a wintry mix with pretty much all modes of frozen precipitation at play and even liquid precipitation. So we do have that wintry mix with rain, snow, sleet, and ice all in play as we head through Friday and into the weekend, and this is looking to bring icy roads and power outages to much of West Texas and Southeast New Mexico, and on top of that, dangerously cold temperatures. And this is Friday afternoon through early Sunday, so prepare now. Like I mentioned, prepare, don't panic, and delay or avoid travel if you can, because as you know, Texas really doesn't have the infrastructure for these winter storms.
No.
I'm from the north, from Colorado and Minnesota, and this would be a normal Friday, Saturday, Sunday out there. Out here, that's not the case.
We're not used to it. Right,
No.
exactly.
So, just stay up to date with the First Alert 7 weather team, or just First Alert 7 as a whole, because we are going to have stories from our reporters about, how people are preparing across the area, and, the weather team, of course, as we do get more information in. I do want to go over our weather alerts. We do have a winter storm watch, and this should change over into either a winter storm warning or a winter weather advisory within the next about 24 hours, give or take, probably later on today. They usually do that pretty close to the onset of the storm. And this, as you can see, encompasses a very good portion of West Texas and into Southeast New Mexico, because
all of our viewing area, I mean, just
for the
about.
most part, it really ranges from, of course, the northern Permian Basin, which is where our viewing area starts, to near the border. So, and that obviously is a very long stretch of land that is covered by that. And then we also do have a extreme cold watch. So even if we didn't get a single bit of precipitation, which is not going to be the case.
Right. The confidence is there for that.
But even if we didn't get a single drop of precipitation, it is going to be rather cold as well behind that Arctic front. That air is swooping in from Canada, from the Arctic, and it is going to be very, very cold. So this is currently for Friday evening through Saturday morning. Yes, Saturday morning. Actually, this is not true. This is in effect Saturday morning through Sunday morning.
Ah, okay.
Yes, sorry, I grabbed the wrong graphic, but still the sentiment is there.
Yes, it's cold. It's going to be extremely cold for sure.
And as you can see, it encompasses a very good portion of our region as well. I'm going to actually move off camera and grab the right.
Sure.
I guess you can't see me currently anyway, but I'm going to move off camera and grab the right one, because this is the wrong graphic. But for that extreme cold watch, we are looking to see that, like I mentioned, Saturday morning through Sunday morning, and could possibly be extended or, changed when that changes to a warning or whatever they call it anymore. that could be extended for Monday morning as well. So that is something that you want to keep a look at and keep an eye on,
All
because
the way
we
through
are
Monday. My goodness.
Yeah, so we are looking to see those very, very cold temperatures into Monday morning, and that is where we could see some issues with those
Okay.
kiddos headed off back to school and people back to work as well.
Okay. Well, it's a good point. You mean because those temperatures, they're so frigid. They're it's a hard freeze going on for hours and hours, over a couple days in a row. And then finally, Monday, late morning, we start to barely crest above freezing. And even then, it's not instantaneous. It's going to take time for things to melt. We possibly could see slick spots through midweek.
Yeah. I do want to mention, Mike asked on Facebook, what time tomorrow will it begin? We are looking to see rain first because it is going to be warm tomorrow. So that should start in the morning hours.
Okay.
Of course, the northern
can bring us
portion
up.
of the region and into southeast New Mexico. So that does look to start in the morning. Rain throughout most of the day tomorrow.
Okay.
Then that front late tomorrow, the timing still is a little bit off on that because models don't usually handle Arctic air very well.
Sure,
But
okay.
right now it is looking to be kind of late afternoon, early evening. So that's kind of our wiggle room area there. You know, of course that could change, but keep that in mind. And like I mentioned, that winter storm watch is in effect starting at noon Central Time tomorrow. So, you know, kind of gives a little bit of wiggle room there as well. But, you know, once those temperatures drop and that front rolls through, that's when we're going to see some freezing rain.
That'll be that. There's going to be a switch over, a transition from that rain. And that's the thing we talked about. You know, it is going to be drizzly. It's going to be kind of dreary tomorrow evening. But that rain, that water, it looks so harmless. It's going to freeze. The thing is, the ground is not that warm as it normally would be if it was happening, you know, a big transition from 74 degrees to now freezing. But it's still above freezing nonetheless, but it will turn into ice. That is the main concern. How much, where? We'll talk about that, of course, throughout the rest of this live stream. Again, thanks for joining us here on Facebook Live. We have TikTok going as well. Go to firstalert7.com if you would, /vote. Go to firstalert7.com/vote. We have some questions there we want to answer. Let's bring up now our computer to see what question we have on the screen. What is your biggest question about this storm? So for Sawyer, it's a 50-50 shot right now between power outage impacts and timing. We talked about the timing a little bit. But power outage impacts, that's going to be tough. We know Encore, we're going to be speaking to them today, is working hard to get those linemen in place and ready to go because it's not necessarily inevitable, but it's very likely to see impacts with power outages this weekend.
Yeah, and you know, I don't know if we want to move on from this just yet, but we can pull up the weather graphics again because I do have, somebody was asking about ice totals, and then also I do have a little bit kind of I want to say insight, I guess, onto what we could be seeing with those power outages. So this is one model. This is the European model, and it has been rather consistent the past couple of days. This is ice accumulation for that you know, model, and this is one run, but the runs have been consistent. I know you're staring at it like saying, why does it say 0? I haven't clicked on it yet.
Oh, no, I'm just curious. I'm
This
curious
is
what it
through
shows.
Sunday morning. So right now, obviously the bigger accumulations are going to be to the northeast of the area.
Okay.
So Big Spring, looking at about a half inch to about 6/10 of ice. And really, you know, when you think about that, that doesn't sound like a lot of precipitation. You know, if we get a 6/10 of rain, that's nothing. That's
It's
really
not
negligible.
much.
However, we'll get to that in just a second.
Sure.
Then this is another model that I'll show for potential ice accumulation. This is the graph, which is kind of a, I guess, American model. This is kind
It's a
of
nickname for it.
yes. Don't know exactly what the acronym means, but so this is showing similar totals, and this is through Saturday night because it doesn't go out as far
Okay.
as the European model.
Sure.
But we should see a transition from ice to snow as we head into our Sunday. So things should be done, you know, freezing with that freezing rain by Saturday night anyway. But this is showing about 3/10 to about 4/10 of an inch for Odessa, about 4/10 of an inch for Midland as well, and over a half inch for Big Spring. So similar idea on
Sure.
both of those, give or take, you know, a few hundredths of an inch, but going to at least see a quarter of an inch for Midland, Odessa, Big Spring. You know, Pecos is kind of on the low end on both of those with about 1/100th of an inch. So the further southwest that you head, the less ice. The further northeast you head, the more ice.
Back to us here in the studio. Of course, we're continuing here our winter weather questionnaire Q&A session with our meteorologist, Sawyer McElroy, answering your questions live right here on Facebook Live and TikTok. Discussing further about the system. We've been looking at this for quite some time now. The system initially looked like it was going to go further south, things have shifted up north, and it looks like Midland, Odessa, Big Spring, the central, even northern Permian Basin getting in on heavy impacts regards to snow, rain, and ice because of the frigid temperatures expecting that. So that's the highlight we want to bring to you as we continue answering questions. So from Lisi Romero, good morning. Thank you for joining us. It's going to snow in Midland. I think so.
It should. I mean,
should.
you know, like I mentioned, we are looking at that freezing rain, and that, of course, is going to be our biggest impact. You know, freezing rain, ice, no matter how much really you prepare, there are going to be issues from that. Snow, you know, I like snow. I love snow.
Yeah.
I can drive on snow. Snow's easy to drive on, doesn't cause power outages. You can play in it. It's fun. But ice is the big issue here. But we are still looking to see a transition from freezing rain and that accumulating ice to snow as we do head into our Sunday, as those temperatures remain below freezing and very cold heading into Sunday.
Now, you explained, just for everyone to kind of grasp this at home as well, the further north you go, that's the snow area, right?
Yes, so further kind of straight north from the Midland, Odessa area, that is where we are looking to see a decent amount of snow. Northeast, you know, Big Spring, Lamesa, northeastern portions of the Permian Basin in our area, looking to see both still snow and ice, but heavier amounts of snow because of that freezing line and where, you know, temperatures drop quicker.
What ICAM do you have pulled up?
Oh, I don't know. Ethan, can you take a look?
Ethan's over on the weather center.
ICAM. What
Hi, Ethan,
ICAM do
yo.
we have? Yes.
Oh, I'm trying to pull up PECOS, Ethan, if you would. If we can bring up ICAM on screen. I want to look outside this morning.
Oh, it's on
Perfect.
PECOS
This is
anyway.
what I wanted.
Perfect.
Thank
Beautiful.
you, Ethan, actually. So we talked about the roads. TxDOT right now getting brine trucks, salt trucks out on the roads. That's something that's very important, Sawyer, for many different reasons.
Yeah, you know, brine is really kind of our only defense out here in Texas. Other portions of the country have snow plows, they have the sand,
Sure.
that salt, but brine is kind of our first and biggest defense out here in
Okay,
Texas.
yeah.
You know, I've talked with them before when it's gotten cold, and as you can see, if you kind of look and squint at the interstate there, you can see those lines on the road. You probably have seen them in Midland,
The
Odessa
texture,
before.
yeah, you can
as
definitely
well.
tell, yeah.
You can see those lines, and that is where the brine truck has been through and I guess dropped the brine solution on the road. So basically brine is a mixture of sodium chloride, I believe.
Okay, yes.
And it helps to melt melt ice and snow. However, there are limitations to brine. It only works between a temperature of
It's a rough...
X and X. I
Okay.
don't remember exactly what it is.
But it's got a limitation.
It has a limitation.
Okay.
So once we get, you know, pretty cold, it may not be as effective. So, you know, obviously this is still something that they are doing as precaution, you know, putting it on the main highways, the main roads, the interstates, of course, you know, but those side streets are
The
going to
side
be...
streets, the bridges, the overpasses.
Yes.
Double freezing, always a concern, especially in the interstate. So, like a few folks have pointed out in our comments today into the weekend, if you don't need to get out on the roads, do not. Stay home, stay indoors. It's like COVID times, essentially, for the weather. It's like Snowmageddon. We couldn't go anywhere. We couldn't even do newscasts in person. It was that bad because we had... The thing is, again, we're not drawing comparisons. That's a very different situation.
gonna
That
say,
was a
Matthew,
full
don't go there.
week or so, and that was multiple storm systems. If we want to recap what 2021 was.
Yeah, you know, we can kind of talk about that. That has been a big thought on everybody's
Right.
mind this week. You know, is this going to be like 2021? No, it is not. We are going to see impacts. We are going to see power outages. We are going to see accumulations of both snow and ice. However, 2021 was multiple winter storms back to back to back.
Yeah.
This is just one, and it's only a period of about, what, 72 hours?
Roughly,
Give
yeah.
or take. So, and then we will see improvements next week. We could see impacts transitioning into Monday and maybe Tuesday as well, but we should see things clearing out by Sunday, realistically, and then temperatures gradually warming through the week.
Back to our Facebook Live questions. We'll get to the poll in just a moment because we have some results in. Erica says, and again, we've touched on this, how much snow we'll be seeing in Midland. I've seen everything keep shifting away. So interesting comment from Erica.
We
to
are
say.
still looking to see snow in Midland and Odessa, but the primary concern and mode of precipitation in Midland, Odessa area is going to be that freezing rain.
Okay.
Snow, I believe we were kind of talking earlier, Ethan and I, about 1 to 3 inches for Midland, Odessa area.
Which is significant.
Which is significant, of
Sure.
course. I mean, even, 1 inch of snow out here is a decent amount.
Sure.
But realistically, the biggest issue is going to be that freezing rain under that snow. Because if it was just snow, 1 to 3 inches,
Impacts would be less.
impacts would be less.
Sure.
However, 1 to 3 inches of snow, with a 1/4 inch of ice underneath it, not going to be great.
Not good. Karen and Wilson asking, Monaghan's impacts?
Like I mentioned earlier, the further southwest that you head, the less impacts that you were looking at. So we did have some freezing rain accumulation, on both of those models that we were talking about, but they are going to be less than, the Central Permian Basin, Midland, Odessa area, Big Spring, Andrews, Seminole as well, Crane. We can go back to those graphics for our weather graphics, and we can kind of touch on those really quick. So this is the European model really quick, and Monaghan's is on here. Yay. I know sometimes we skip it on our graphics, but Monaghan's looks about 2/10 of an inch. So that is, a decent amount of accumulation,
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
still not great. And then here's that graph model. This is another model. This is, a single model run, but they have been rather consistent. And the fact that they're similar is concerning.
It's telling.
Yeah, it's very telling. So, sorry, I can't read this. I have to get up.
Get closer to the
Monaghan's
monitor.
is sadly not on this map, but Pecos, has 1/100th of an inch, and then Odessa about 3/10 of an inch. So anywhere between that. But we are still looking to see accumulations of freezing rain there. Snow is kind of, I guess, an interesting thing. Like I mentioned, we are looking about 1 to 3 inches for the Midland, Odessa area. Higher the further north that you head, so Andrews, Seminole, Hobbs, in New Mexico, looking at decent amounts of snowfall, higher than that 1 to 3 threshold. But it also depends on how long the transition period is between the rain, freezing rain, sleet, because we may see sleet as well.
Oh boy.
And
Yeah.
then transitioning to snow finally.
Absolutely. And of course, thank you again for joining us here on Facebook Live. If you're just tuning in, we're here with meteorologist Sawyer McRoy, who has been long analyzing this winter storm that's expected to move into our area tomorrow night with a front that's going to be passing on through, bringing with it really cold air and also mixing with some moisture. That's not going to be a good combination heading into the weekend. And we're going to be here through the weekend to provide you live coverage from across the Permian Basin as we see what the impacts are. As we get closer and closer, we have better details, but that's why we're here right now answering your questions. Let's bring up now our poll. Let's see what the next question is. Do you plan to change your travel plans because of this storm? If you want to answer this question, there's a QR code right there on your screen. Scan that or go to that website right there, firstalert7.com/vote. Sawyer, right now, 69% of people say yes, their travel plans will be affected. We know someone who was going to travel out to North Texas. Actually, if we can bring back weather graphics real quick, if we look in the far right-hand top corner of your screen, what is that, Sawyer? That looks really bad. The colors are pink in North Texas.
So kind of like I've been stressing this whole time, the farther northeast that you head, the more ice, snow that you are looking to see. So the Dallas-Fort Worth area is looking to see, we've seen models saying over an inch of ice. In the Fort Worth
That's
area.
catastrophic.
Yes, that is not good at all, and very similar to out here. Really Texas as a whole is not greatly prepared for winter weather. So, if you can delay travel plans, whether even if it's, going from Big Spring to Midland or Odessa to Monaghan's or Odessa to Andrews, try and stay put if you can, starting Friday evening, give or take, through at least Sunday, if not Monday.
Absolutely. And like we mentioned, if you are, if you have relatives over in North Texas, over in other parts of the state, I know Governor Gray Abbott has issued a disaster declaration ahead of time, or a state of emergency actually, deploying resources where they need to be, including in West Texas, different parts. There's power crews ready to go, linemen going to be staged and ready to roll as well. Power plants around the state, ERCOT, of course, learning the lessons of Snowmageddon. So that's another thing that we're better prepared for this time around. Again, not drawing too many comparisons because it's a very different system moving on through, much less of a system this time around. But again, we're coming on to make sure you're prepared and not scared. Someone just commented on Facebook Live, is there any reason for panic?
No. It is a winter storm. There is going to be precipitation. There's looking to be freezing precipitation in some sense of that word. However, don't panic, please. That just makes things worse, quite honestly.
Absolutely. The stores.
Yes, the stores, we have, hopefully, Lauren Mund going out to a store later today to talk about people panic buying. I saw, I believe, the H-E-B over off of, I want to say University. That's probably not right.
On the other side of town?
Yes.
Yes, on the west. Yes, that's University.
Okay,
You're
cool.
correct.
Sorry, guys. The H-E-B, the lines were back towards the freezer aisle.
Wow.
Because it was so, everybody was getting stuff. So please don't panic. You don't need extra toilet paper. What are you going to use that for anyway? I don't know. But, just be prepared just in case you do lose power for a little bit. Get shelf staple items, get something that doesn't need to be refrigerated, even though, it's cold, so you can just throw your food outside if your power goes out. Get things that you can cook easily if you lose power. So please don't panic. I'm somebody who's been through many a winter storm, and, just get prepared.
You've seen it. Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
You know what to look for, so that's why we're glad you're here talking about this. Winter weather is your expertise, so we're glad you're here with us, keeping a close eye on it. I'm keeping an eye on the Facebook Live chat, of course, to make sure everybody's keeping track. We want to talk about closures and delays, the possibility of them over the next few days. So let's talk about Friday tomorrow. That's something we can talk about for sure. The timing of delays and closures, I don't think there's going to be any impacts whatsoever heading into Friday morning, tomorrow morning. There's nothing going to be happening.
No.
Fully normal schedules for all school districts tomorrow because of the lack of anything going on. Saturday, the good thing is it is the weekend. That's why it's a little bit less impactful. Businesses, though, we could see closures, delays, even probably closures on that end. Saturday and Sunday, we'll let you know what closes. Luckily, a lot of things already will be closed. Now, Monday, that's where things begin to change because of the leftover precipitation on the ground.
Yeah, if we are getting all this precipitation, whether it's the ice, the snow, combination of the both, or the two, it is going to be very cold as well. So even if we did not get a single drop of precipitation, which is not looking likely, we are looking to see precipitation.
Sure.
It is going to be very cold. So temperatures are not going to warm up much, especially as we head into Monday morning when those kiddos are headed back to school. And so that may be something that may be an issue as we head into Monday, whether it's A, because that precipitation is still on the ground in some sense of the word, or B, because it's just dangerously cold.
Those are both big factors as well. Any other questions we have here? So what's the weather looking like? Did it change the path? We discussed that as not necessarily change the path, just the area of who's getting what. That's the thing. There's small areas within this storm of you get snow, you get mix, you get rain, things like that. And right now, Midland Odessa I-20 corridor is looking like it's in not a great spot in regards to icing.
Yeah, we are looking at a decent amount of ice for the Midland Odessa area, Big Spring as well. The further north that you head, the more snow that it's looking to be because of colder temperatures. So that is going to transition over quicker into snow. And so accumulations there of snow looking to be higher. We are looking to see snow as well eventually once our temperatures get cold enough, but initially going to be rain, then transitioning to freezing rain, potentially sleet, and then snow for the Midland Odessa area.
We're in about our last 5 minutes or so here on this Q&A, so please get your questions in. Let's go to our poll one more time if anyone wants to get into that. FirstAlert7.com/vote. Right now, our question, Sawyer, what are you most concerned about with the storm? Our viewers saying power outages at 67% of the vote, with extreme cold coming in second. Both valid concerns, Sawyer, I think, heading into the weekend. We've touched on Encore. We're going to be speaking with them today about what they're doing. We know they know how to handle these kind of situations. They're going to be ready. They're going to work as quick as they can. When that power goes out, it's reported. They can get working on it. But the problem is they're people like us. They have vehicles like us. They have to get out on those slick roads, and that's just dangerous. And it also takes a lot longer as well. So people should hunker down and prepare. Are there things they can do to get ready for possible long-term outages?
We touched on it a little bit earlier, just protect those, I believe it's 4 Ps, pets, plants, pipes, and people.
Yes.
So you do want to check on your neighbors if you do have young or elderly neighbors. Obviously not young neighbors because hopefully they have parents, but those elderly neighbors, they may just need a little bit of assistance there. Pets, of course, please bring your pets inside, people. If it's some type of livestock, make sure they are properly prepared with a coat or being in the barn or whatever. Those plants, bring them inside if you can. Put them in greenhouse if you don't have one. Take those proper precautions. And then people, we are going to see very, very cold temperatures and wind chills coming up this weekend. Bare skin exposure can lead to frostbite very, very quickly in those temperatures. So you do want to cover up if you are going to be outside really past a couple of minutes,
sure.
Give or take. If you're running from the car into the house, you'd probably be okay,
Probably okay.
But you're probably outside in some sense of the word anyway. And be prepared just in case you do, run into car troubles on the road, whether you get stuck, get into an accident, whatever. You may be waiting a while for assistance, and you want to make sure that you're warm in your car or, wherever otherwise.
Absolutely. Very good advice there. Getting ready for possible outages this coming weekend. Let's wrap things up with one final question here. A good one from Joanna. What is the difference between sleet and freezing rain?
I have a whole graphic to explain this. It's kind of hard to explain without the graphic.
Okay. Is it ready?
Give me 2 seconds.
Let's see. Sawyer's going to run to the Weather Center with meteorologist Ethan Yost, who's over there.
Oh, yeah.
Ethan, would you like to add anything? Is there anything we're not touching on that you'd like to touch on?
You can speak
as
into
well.
my mic.
I have a microphone over here if you'd like to talk into it. Or Sawyer has one as well.
Yeah, I was going to say, speak into my mic.
She's basically touched on everything so far.
Okay, good. He's in agreement. We've kind of touched on all the big topics. We appreciate you joining us here on Facebook Live as well. Let's look outside on the iCam. We were talking about earlier the road conditions. This is Interstate 20 heading into Pecos there. It is a bit of a curve, of course. Now, mind you, crews, TxDOT crews have been in contact with us. We're going to be talking to them today about how they're preparing and have been preparing with brine on our local roadways. So they're doing all they can to make sure that they are as safe as possible and keeping us as safe as possible as well. But like Sawyer mentioned, there is a limitation in regards to brining the roadways, treating it and keeping it as safe as possible. There is limitations, so it's best to just not be out on the roads with these sub-freezing conditions along with any precipitation on the roadway. That is especially true, doubly down for overpasses, bridges, things like that. Double freezing occurs on those exposed surfaces. That is going to create quite the issue for a lot of our local roadways. Interstate 20 passes over numerous overpasses, underpasses, you name it. Those are going to be an area for concern over the next 3 days or so. As far as our coverage goes, First Alert 7 will be live through the weekend to bring you the very latest information, coverage, whatever we need to bring you to keep you safe and informed, especially in regards to power outages. This video, by the way, in case you missed earlier, will be posted live. We're going to keep it on our Facebook page. It's going to be on our YouTube channel as well. We have TikTok. Follow us there. It's on our CTV streaming services as well. Be sure to download First Alert 7's app on your streaming television services. But we're now here again with Sawyer McElroy back from the Weather Center explaining the difference between freezing rain and sleet.
Well, this is a fun graphic, so it has difference in all types of winter precipitation. So, of course, if something falls at rain, it may fall through some cold air initially, but then it'll melt as it hits the ground and, really above the ground because of warm temperatures. With freezing rain, so you have cold air aloft, it hits warm air on the way to the ground, but then there's cold air near the surface, so that rain freezes on contact. So that's what causes freezing rain. And then with sleet, you have cold air aloft, you hit some warm air, so that cold air, that snow, ice, sleet, whatever, hits some warm air, it melts, but then it refreezes once it hits some cold air, still a little bit aloft, but near the surface. So that's what causes sleet. And then, of course, snow. You have kind of that cold air column all the way up from the surface to the atmosphere, and that is where we see that snow occurring.
So that right there is a great graphic. Take a picture of this if you'd like, if that helps you understand kind of what we're facing, what we're looking at as we get closer and closer into this winter storm. To go over one more time and recap everything back here in the studio with us, we're doing a weather Q&A here. We've done a whole half-hour talk between the viewers and Sawyer McElroy. As far as timing goes, again, when are we starting to see the system and when can we be out of the clear, essentially?
Yeah, no, so we are starting to see, impacts tomorrow morning. It is going to start as rain, but then we have that Arctic front on the way, and that is looking to be later in the day tomorrow. Timing on that is still a little kind of up in the air because of, Arctic fronts just kind of usually move a little bit quicker than models show. So, expect right now late afternoon, early evening, late evening, kind of giving you a window there for that front to roll through. Then we are looking to see that transition with that front from rain to freezing rain and or sleet, depending on where you're located. And then that will continue into our Saturday, and that is when we are going to see those temperatures dropping, like I mentioned, behind that front, but really overall Saturday. And then once we hit a pretty cold temperatures, we are going to see just snow for some portions of the region, but then continuing to see sleet and freezing rain for other portions of the area. So just looking to be a rather messy weekend ahead. And that, I'm saying Sunday, but everything should be cleared out of the area by about noon, give or take, on Sunday. Take that with a grain of salt, but
Sure.
give her just to throw a time out there.
Around there.
But still going to be very, very cold coming up on Sunday with a high of only about 25 degrees, I think. And then as we head into Monday, still going to be very, very cold in the early morning hours.
There we go. Thank you very much, meteorologist Sawyer McElroy. I know you're very busy keeping track of this winter storm coming into the weekend. Thank you very much for joining us here on Facebook Live, on YouTube, on our streaming platforms here on First Alert 7. I'm Matthew Alvarez, along with meteorologist Sawyer McElroy. Thanks for joining us, and make it a great day. Stay safe this weekend and stay indoors.